Okay, let's talk about finding the average rate of change of a function between 2 points. So up here is a little explanation of the average rate of change. So we are looking for the slope of a line. And so we're going to calculate the 2 points that we're going between and calculate the slope. And that is going to be called the average rate of change. So we have an equation right here. If you can recall, slope is always rise over run. The triangle means change in, so rise would be the change in the y's, and the delta x, the triangle is called delta, is the change in the x's. So in other words, f of b minus f of a, in other words, f of b is the y value, and f of a is the other y value, and then b and a are the x values. Okay, it's helpful to see it as an example. So let's take the function f of x equals x squared minus 5, and let's find the average rate of change between x equals -2 and x equals 1. Okay, so to find the average rate of change, the slope, we're going to need those y values. We have the x values, but we do need the y values. So let's find the f of -2, and that would be by plugging x equals -2 into the equation. So x squared, -2 squared is 4 minus 5, that equals -1. And let's find the f of 1, the other x value. 1 squared minus 5, that equals -4. All right, so our average rate of change, we're going to take the change in the y values. So we can put either one first, but you have to stay consistent. So let's start with the -4 and then subtract the -1. And then that means we have to put the 1 for the x value first, and then subtract the -2. Okay, so the first point, in other words, was 1 comma -4, that's right here. The second point was -2 comma -1, and that's right here. And we just evaluate, and that's -4 plus 1, so -3, and 1 plus 2, so that's 3. So that equals to -1. So our slope, in other words, is -1. If you're a visual learner like me, you kind of want to know what this looks like. Okay, so what we're looking at is this function x squared minus 5. Okay, we're starting to learn how to graph these functions. So let's kind of graph this function. So it's a parabola that has been shifted down 5. Something like this is what the graph looks like, x squared minus 5. And then the points that we're looking at are at -2 comma -1, that point, and at 1 comma -4. And then what we would do is create what's called a secant line. Okay, and that is the secant line because it is touching the graph at 2 places. So a secant line. And what we're finding is the slope of that secant line, and the slope in this case is -1, which makes sense. You're going down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1, and there's the slope.